guys, welcome back to Rocket Gyan, my fellow space tubers. Today we are going to be seeing one of the member which is arriving to the Mars. Yes, there was a fleet of 3 candidates arriving to the Mars in this month. One is the UAE's Hope Mars mission, which you will be seeing today, and then tomorrow the China's Tianwen-1 mission, or yeah, Tianwen-1 mission will be arriving on Mars, and then we have the NASA's Perseverance rover arriving on Mars. So I'll be streaming everything. So right now you can see that we have a countdown to Mars here. We have UAE space agencies working on it. I mean, yeah, this is the thing. So today you will be seeing everything. And I mean the Mars orbital insertion, you will be seeing that, as well as I'll be telling you everything that you need to know in order to see the mission. So, yes, just sit tight and relax and just enjoy the stream. So, if you don't know what Hope Mars mission is, this Hope Mars mission basically is the first interplanetary mission of UAE Space Agency. Yes, and this is their first interplanetary mission, and no one actually ever heard about UAE Space Agency. And if I'm not wrong, this is the very youngest space agency. It was, if I'm not wrong, it was formed in 2014 only, and in 2021. In 2020 only they launched the Mars probe. I mean, hats off to UAE space scientists, hats off to them. Seriously. So this is their first interplanetary mission, and right now you can see here in the timeline, or you can say the infographic here, yeah, infographic, that the distance remaining is around only 13,000 kilometers, and it is approaching it very very fastly. The speed is 76,000 kilometer per hour. I mean, wow, that is so much. So this is their EMM, or you can say EMM, or Emirates Mars Mission. Hope Mars Mission is also known as Emirates Mars Mission. So the Emirates Mars Mission Hope for will be the first probe to provide a complete picture of the Martian atmosphere and its layer when it reaches the red planet in 2021. Okay, so this orbiter, first of all, this is an orbiter which you can see right here. The people are these are the solar panels which they have constructed, and then they are placing it. But the main purpose of this orbiter is to study the ecology of the Mars. Mainly, many probes have gone to the Mars. Some have studied geology, some have studied the surface and whatnot, but I don't think so anybody has studied the atmosphere properly. So this is their first mission which will properly study the atmosphere of the Mars. And this you can see here. The mission life, first of all, yeah, you should know that the mission life for this mission is around 2 years, and in that 2 years it will understand the climate dynamics, uh, 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 climate dynamics and the global weather map through characterizing the lower atmosphere of Mars. And the second one is it will explain how the weather changes and the escape of hydrogen and oxygen through correlating the lower atmosphere conditions with the upper atmosphere. So the orbit is very unique for this thing. I'll get on to that. And understand the structure and variability of hydrogen and oxygen in the upper atmosphere, as well as identify why Mars is losing them into space. So this is the critical question it will be answering: why the Mars is losing atmosphere into space. Because uh, uh, in future we know that Elon Musk is pushing everyone towards the Mars, and we will be actually going to the Mars and staying there. So yep, that is the thing. So studying why the Mars is losing its atmosphere to space is a very critical thing. So yep, that's the thing. So here you can see this thing. This is how the Mars probe actually looks like. You can see the solar panels here. These are there some weight here, and I mean the weight is 1350 kilograms, which is including the fuel, which is so cool. This is their if I'm not wrong, this is the high gain antenna which will most probably will be sending all of that data which actually it will be collecting. And then the solar panels, 600-watt solar panels are there, and the dimensions with the solar panel open is 3 into 8, 3 meters into around 8 meters. So yeah, that's the thing. Cruising distance which it has covered is 493.5 million kilometers, and the mission duration is 1 Martian year, or you can say the 2 Earth years. We'll get on to how the launch how happened and everything, but before that we should be knowing what is ahead of us, right? So what's the mission profile and what we will be actually seeing, right? So this is this uh, you can see here the launch happened, the early operation. So what they mean by early operation? Obviously the setting up of the spacecraft and everything. But guys, let me just tell you that Hope Mars mission right now, if I'm not wrong, I if I remember correctly, is the only one which is like studying the space also. Like when it was going to the Mars, right, in this cruise period, it was it had some instruments on and it was studying the space, it was studying the cosmic rays, the light, if I'm not wrong, the galactic lights. Yeah, that was some interesting fact about it. And then now it will be inserting itself into the orbit. So the orbital insertion is also very I mean interesting to see how it will insert itself into the orbit of the Mars. First of all, yes, it was launched from on it was launched from the Mitsubishi, I mean the Japan, by Mitsubishi's H2A rocket. And yeah, the rocket accelerated directly away from the Earth. I mean, it actually, the rocket only gave the escape velocity for this spacecraft. So the spacecraft actually didn't have to do its I mean those maneuvers to orbit raising maneuvers and then finally going to the escape velocity. That doesn't happen, it didn't happen here, because the rocket was powerful enough to send 1350 kilograms of payload directly to the Mars trajectory. So yes, that's just the thing. Then early operation. In the early operation, you can see that after the Hope probe separated from the upper stage, an automated sequence awakened the probe. This was followed by booting up of the central computer, switching on the heaters and prevent the fuel from freezing. So this is the thing. So this thing actually has 6 120 Newton thrusters, I should say that, and then 8 attitude control thrusters. So this that 6 120 Newton thrusters runs on hypergolic fuel. So this hypergolic fuel freezes in space because the space temperature is like in minus 200 degrees Celsius or something like that, because there is nothing to absorb in space, right? We don't have CO2 or something like that. So whenever the spacecraft is directly faces the sunlight, then it warms up, but the other side which is not facing the sunlight, it is very cold there. So yes, it has to, you can say then, um, um, it has to stabilize the temperature, so that's why it did that. And then there was some trajectory correction maneuvers also performed in between this thing, which was actually used to correct the trajectory in order to directly face it towards the Mars. That is the thing. It happens with every other mission to the Mars. Trajectory correction maneuver, every time it happens. Okay. And then the cruise period begins after the spacecraft commissioning is done. In the EOP phase, normal operation within 2 to 3 contacts a week with Earth, with 2 to 3 contacts a week with Earth ground station. So mostly it becomes, you can say that remains in hibernations. And then journey lasts around 7 months, during which instruments on board are checked to ensure they are correctly working. So this already has been done. Now the thing happens with the Mars orbit insertion. Okay, so this Mars orbit insertion will be like very critical for the success of this mission. Okay, nearly half of the fuel will be spent only to capture into the Mars orbit, and the fuel burn will last approximately around 27 minutes. I mean, then 27 minutes, all the 6 thrusters, 120 newtons thrusters, have to fire without any glitch, without any problem. Neither of them should be shut down. There is nothing. If any of them is shut down for any reason, then the mission is, you can say, mission could be like uh, unsuccessful in two ways. First of all, it wasn't able to capture itself into the orbit, or the other thing being, it was able to capture into the orbit, but the orbit it captured was not a cap, you can say, a intended orbit. So yeah, that's the thing. And to for that, it will reduce the speed of the spacecraft from over 1000 to, I mean, what the- one yeah 1 to 121,000 kilometers per hour to 18,000 kilometers per hour. Wow, that is so cool. And during this Mars orbital insertion phase, there will be a Mars shadow period of around 6 minutes or so, which will actually means that the orbiter will go behind the Mars, and during this period, there will be no communication from the Earth. So first of all, for the orbital insertion, right, there is everything. The firing of the engine to the shutting down, and then facing the high gain antenna to the to the facing the facing the high gain antenna to the earth is all automated. So in the mission control center in UAE, they will just be seeing it and monitoring the situation. That's it. And if they see that something is going wrong, they can do nothing about it because everything is automated. So here comes the role of the computer scientists there, computer engineers there, which have programmed all those things to happen. And if anything fails or if anything goes wrong, the computer will be there to correct it or resolve it. Everything is programmed in it, everything is automated. So yeah, the mission control center will just be monitoring it today. That's the thing. And then after it captures, so the capturing orbit of this will be around 1000 kilometers to uh, for 49,380 kilometers. So the periapsis of this orbit in the capture orbit will be 1000 kilometers from the Mars surface. I mean, the periapsis, if you don't know what periapsis is nothing but the closest distance from the surface of the planet that the spacecraft experiences during its orbit. That's the periapsis. And the apoapsis is the opposite of that, which is actually the farthest from point from the planet. So yeah, you can say that. So the closest one is around 1000 kilometer, and the farthest one is 149,380 kilometers. So this is just the capture orbit in which it will be captured. And then this is not a orbit in which they will be actually studying the atmosphere and everything. They have to actually do some maneuvers and and other things to raise the orbits and do something like that, which I'll be telling you, so don't worry about it. So the capture orbit will be elliptical orbit, obviously, and it will be having the orbital period of 40 hours. That's the thing. And then in the capture orbit, the first image of the Mars from the science instruments will be taken, which will be so awesome. I mean, the China's Tianwen-1 mission has already, you can say, taken the image of the Mars, but that image was like black and white, was not proper one. But yeah, this one, they have their one of the instrument as the camera, so they are able to capture the image. That's the thing. So talking about the science orbit, so for reaching the science orbit, will again perform some maneuvers which will raise the periapsis to from 1000 kilometer to 20,000 kilometers, and the apoapsis from 49,380 kilometers, it will decrease the apoapsis to 43,000 kilometers, with one complete orbit taking 55 hours. Okay, that's the thing. And the mission's highly innovative. So this orbit is very unique because it will allow the Hope probe to complete the first ever planet-wide 24/7 picture of Mars atmospheric dynamics and weather. So what they mean by this, actually, the orbital period of the science, I mean the science orbit, the science orbit is 55 hours, and it is placed in such a way that during its whole life it will actually whenever it will you can say come near the surface, or you can say near the periapsis of the orbit, it will see the atmosphere of the Mars in a different way. Okay, so what do I mean by it? I mean, um, um, actually, if on day one it was able to go to the periapsis at supposedly at 1 p.m., then the other date will be like 2 p.m., the other date 3 p.m. So it's like that, and it will be in the span of 2 years, it will be like taking the readings of every part of the atmosphere, and every time it will be there. So around 24 hours a day, that's the orbiter, that's the period of the Mars there. So 24 hours reading will be there, analyzing the atmosphere of the Mars. So that was the thing which I was supposed to say. So the data which it will be able to generate will be around 1 TB of data on the Mars. 1 terabyte of data. Wow, that is so cool. Now talking about and the yeah, this is also very important. The contact period with the mission operation control center is limited to 6 to 8 hours twice a week. Just in this period, 6 to 8 hours twice a week, it has to mainly it will be doing the transferring of the data whatever it has uh, acquired during its period. And then in this 6 to 8 hours contact period, it will mostly be transferring the data from the spacecraft to the mission control center. And 1 terabyte of data it will be generating, and let's see, in just 2 years span only, 1 terabyte of data we will be able to download. So yeah, in the Mars, the download speed is not at all good. It's in bits per second. So yeah, that's the thing. Now I can see make you see the orbit, actually. Just a sec. How the orbit is there, and so that you can analyze it. Just a sec. Let me just adjust it for you. Um yeah, done. So here you can see right now this is the animation. So first of all, this is the capture orbit. You can see this elliptical orbit here. This is the capture orbit you will be seeing today. Means in this orbit it will go initially. This is the capture orbit. After that, what will happen is uh, it will remain in this orbit for some time, and what time I need to confirm it when but yeah, then what will happen, uh, after it's they have decided to change from the capture orbit to the science orbit. What will happen is the spacecraft will go to this point, it will fire up its engine and raise the periapsis for 1000 to some preliminary one. Okay, so you can see that here, uh, first of all it will raise it till here, then it will again go to the apoapsis point, again fire up its engine, and then raise to the 20,000 kilometers apsis. And then what will happen, it will again complete one orbit, come back here at the periapsis, fire up its engine here again, and this time to decrease the apoapsis from the 49,000 mark to 43,000 mark. So that's how it will happen. First of all, the capture orbit 1000 into 49,000, that will happen. Then going to the apoapsis and then raising the periapsis to 20,000, or you can say less than 20,000 first. Completing that orbit, this orbit, and then coming back here again, firing up its engine, raising the periapsis to final 20,000 kilometer mark, completing the orbit once again, come back here and come here and then fire up its engine here again to decrease the apoapsis from this point to this point. That's the thing. Okay. Yeah. Wow, this is so cool. So, hi everyone. Uh, Hi, Eliza Elmarzuki, if I'm not wrong. Hi, Yamuna Balaji. Hi, Suleiman Mohammed. Hi, Umar Ali. Hi, Katie Millard. Hi, Flawless Assassin. How high up will be the orbiter from the Mars? Initially, it will be like 1,000 kilometers, and then the periapsis will be 20,000 kilometers in its science orbit. Okay. Now we can have a look at. Hi, Monarch Aerospace. I never forget anyone. Hi, Dimant Shetty. So, yes, coming back to this thing. So, guys, if you have any questions, you can ask me and I'll see if I can answer them. Then, yeah, this was the, you can say, complete journey of the spacecraft, which I actually told you. Now we can have a look at the science, what instruments it is carrying, right? There are three instruments which it is carrying: the Emirates Mars infrared red spectrometer, the Emirates exploration imager, which will this will take the photos in infrared spectrum, means photos, or you can say it will study, if not photos, it will study the atmosphere in the infrared spectrum. Then the Emirates exploration imager, which will take high resolution images of the Mars. And then the final one will be the Emirates Mars ultraviolet spectrometer, which will study the Mars atmosphere in ultraviolet spectrum. That's the thing. And here you can see that this is somehow the ecology of Mars. There's this upper atmosphere, they have ozone, also lower atmosphere, oxygen, hydrogen, and carbon monoxide, which escapes from the atmosphere. So this thing will be studying every bit of it. So this the Emirates Mars infrared spectrometer will study the lower atmosphere of the red planet in the infrared band, and it will measure the global distribution of dust, ice clouds, water vapor, and temperature profiles and everything like that. And yeah, then comes the imager. Obviously, this Emirates exploration imager will study the lower atmosphere of the red planet in visible and ultraviolet band, then capture high resolution images of the Mars, measures the optical depth of water ice in the atmosphere. This is so cool. I mean, there is water ice in the atmosphere of the Mars, and it will be able to measure it. This is so cool. Uh, then the last one is the ultraviolet one, the emus, or the ultraviolet one, which determines the abundance and the variability of the carbon monoxide and oxygen in the thermosphere on subseasonal scale. So it will actually observe the atmosphere in the ultraviolet spectrum and collect the data with it. So right now, coming back to it, we only have 46 minutes. The distance remaining is around 8,000 kilometer. That's it. What would be the mission life? Monarch Aerospace says. Yeah. Before everything, I have to actually make you see the launch of the this spacecraft. So let's switch over to that quickly and just enjoy the launch. It happened from JAXA. Can you hear it? Them? Just a sec.
Mission. SRB ミッションロケット。H2A ロケット42号機は2020年1月20日午前6時58
So
分14
the
秒
launching was
打ち上げられました。
was done by the JAXA space agency with with their H2A rocket.
6:58:14 a.m. on July 20, 2020 Japan Standard Time.
You can see here it has two solid rocket boosters, and the first stage. Oh, and you can see here the max Q effects on it, the atmosphere effect. Wow! Just see that.
Following liftoff, the operation control of the launch vehicle has been switched from the blockhouse to the launch control center.
ロケットは現在徐々に東方向の太平洋上へ飛行しています。
The H2 is now
Just
flying above
look
past
at this.
location today.
I mean, now you will be seeing the
ロケットは
jettisoning of the
正常に飛行中で
booster,
あり、
most
種子島
probably.
の地上局は正常にロケットの追尾を行っています。
The H2
This
flight is on track,
has
and the
happened
initial
successfully, so
station
don't
of the
worry.
launch
It
vehicle very well.
won't be bursting into flames or something like that. It was a successful one.
80、81、82、83、84、85、86、87、88、89、90。
SLBA 燃焼終了。
The SLBs have burned out.
100、
Jettisoning. And here you go. The jettisoning of the boosters.
SLBA separation.
14、15、
So now I can fast forward it
18、
somewhat.
19、120。
Just a sec. Okay, yeah, that's the thing now. If the fairing and then okay. Yeah, that was the launch. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so I think now I should be looking just a sec. Think it is.
If the Hope probe
Okay, here
is
we
going to be
go.
able to be captured by Mars's gravity.
Destination. So this 27 minutes of burn from the spacecraft from start to finish will be a little bit nerve-wracking, but the team has practiced hard. And after we get information back from the probe, we'll be able to tell if we are in an orbit that will be able to help us move forward and complete our science mission.
Well, as we just mentioned, there is a 50% chance that the mission does go to plan. That also means 50% it doesn't go to plan. What is the outcome if this project is not a success?
Well, I think the project has already been a success given the programmatic goals of the mission. So I'm not too worried about that aspect of the success. But for the scientists who want to get the observations, I'm not ready to throw in the towel if we get initial indications that things haven't gone well. There may be ways to help the spacecraft recover, and so it could take hours even to figure out whether we have a viable mission going forward. Of course, if we don't end up having a viable mission, if we aren't able to get those observations that we hoped for, we'll have to go back to the drawing board and we'll have to find another way to get the information that we set out to gather.
Well, David, thank you very much for joining us this evening. That is David Brain on the line directly from the US, who's been heavily involved in the project since the beginning. Fahad, I wanted to bring you back in here. We were speaking a little bit earlier about a bit of healthy competition between China and the US as well. I wondered if you could take us through some of the differences between our mission to Mars versus there. We know that the US team is going to be touching down on Mars. I know they have a rover. It's set to be the fastest ever rover, still moving at a glacial pace. What are some of the differences? Why aren't we touching? Actually, Fahad, just wait there 1 minute. I'll be back in just a second. I've just heard we've got a very special guest on location at the Burj Khalifa. Let's take a look at the world's tallest tower, lighting up tonight with a very special message for the world.
So you will be seeing the Burj Khalifa will be lit up red today to inspire the world and dedicate. So enjoy the show.
An important symbol to the world's eyes.
Wow.
To Mars, we can
comes the Mars. Here comes their probe. Wow. This is so lit.
Of this programme. But tonight, of
Just
course,
got
is the most
goosebumps in
critical moment, whether Hope can enter the red planet's orbit. Once it reaches Mars, it will spend 2 years collecting scientific data.
Now, this will allow scientists to create a complete picture of the Martian atmosphere and its layers and better understand why it turned from a lush, vibrant planet into a cold, barren desert. Well, earlier today, I stepped into virtual space to get a detailed look at exactly how it works. 2020, a significant date for the UAE and a major milestone in the Emirates space race. The date that the UAE launched the Hope probe into deep space in the first ever Arab mission to Mars, the culmination of a 6-year effort from around 200 Emirati engineers, scientists and researchers. Now, whilst the objective of the Mars mission is to provide a detailed understanding of the climate and weather conditions of the red planet, the probe is a foundation for a much bigger goal, building a human settlement on Mars within the next 100 years. At around the size of a car, the Hope probe was launched in the early hours on board an H-2A rocket from Takashima Spaceport in Japan, beginning its journey of close to 500 million kilometres. The Hope probe separated from the launcher around an hour after liftoff, a critical moment in the entire launch process, timed precisely right for the Earth's closest alignment with Mars, a process which takes place only every 2 years. Now, as it settled its trajectory into space, the Hope probe deployed its solar panels and its sensors to locate the sun, manoeuvring to direct the panels towards the sun to begin charging the onboard battery.
Wow.
With the power switched on, the first signals from the Hope probe were detected by the NASA Deep Space Network ground station in Spain. As the unmanned spacecraft continued towards Mars, it used star tracking equipment to determine its location and direction, and ultimately to keep it right on track. 2 days after its launch, the Hope probe entered deep space, capturing and relaying the very first image of its final destination, Mars. It had already travelled 1 million kilometres from Earth, moving at a speed of around 120,000 kilometres per hour. On August the 11th, the Hope probe performed its first trajectory correction manoeuvre, firing its thrusters to ensure it was positioned on the best path to Mars, a critical moment as the first TCM performed since separating from the launcher. Now, during this time, the mission team conducted safety tests for around 45 days to ensure that the probe's instruments and systems were working perfectly and efficiently on board. On August the 24th, the Hope probe shared a second image of Mars. The photo showed that Hope had passed Saturn and Jupiter, with only Mars still ahead, marking 100 kilometres in its journey to the red planet, the equivalent of around 130 trips from Earth to the Moon. On August the 28th, the second trajectory correction manoeuvres were performed to further adjust its position towards Mars. It was now more than 200 kilometres into its journey and almost at the halfway mark. 2.5 months later, on November the 8th, the Hope probe successfully performed its third trajectory manoeuvre, setting the date of arrival to the orbit for February the 9th, 2021 at 7:42 p.m. local time. Now, during this phase, the team used the probe's 3 science instruments for the first time in space, conducting regular checks to ensure they were operating correctly ahead of their work to study the red planet's weather conditions. Tonight, The HOPE probe will enter its fourth and most critical stage of its 7-month journey, the Mars Orbit Insertion. Now, the HOPE probe will use its thrusters to burn off half of its fuel, drastically reducing its speed in order to safely enter Mars's orbit. Now, this process has a success rate of just 50%. If the HOPE probe goes too fast or too slow, it could crash on Mars or miss its orbit entirely. But if all goes to plan, tonight will make the UAE go down in history as only the 5th country in the world to ever reach the red planet. Now, after entering Mars's orbit, the information that the probe's 3 special instruments collects over the next 2 years will help scientists begin to understand what the climate and weather is like here at different layers of the Martian atmosphere and create the first global picture of how the Martian atmosphere changes not only during the day but during the entire seasons as well. Now, researchers also plan to study why Mars's atmosphere is losing hydrogen and oxygen and the reasons behind the planet's drastic climate change. It's hoped this will help scientists better understand and be able to answer important environmental questions about our own planet as well. Several dozen probes have set off for Mars since the 1960s. Many never made it that far or failed to land. Only India has managed to enter the planet's orbit in a first attempt.
Yeah.
Now, the UAE's mission is particularly unique, with an endeavour that has never been pursued by any other nation. Whilst other probes have orbited between the north and south poles of Mars, the HOPE probe orbits around Mars in an elliptical manner, completing a loop around the planet's equator every 55 hours. Now, this allows it to get as close as 20,000 kilometres to the Martian planet, the smallest ever distance reached by the probe to the surface of Mars. Its unusual elliptical orbit will allow it to observe the entire planet across both night and day in each cycle. Now, it's this orbit that will allow the UAE to complete the first ever planet-wide 24/7 picture of Mars's atmosphere and weather. Tonight, the UAE will lead the Arab world to new frontiers in deep space for the first time in history, acting as a catalyst to further accelerate the development of the education and technology sectors. Now, with the HOPE probe created by a team of Emirati engineers, scientists and researchers with an average age of just 27 years, and with women making up around 80% of the team,
This
there's
is so
no
unique.
doubt in anyone's
Exactly.
minds just how important this mission really is. So, as the UAE prepares to mark the 50th anniversary of the formation of the United Arab Emirates, tonight's milestone serves as a lasting reminder that for the UAE, not even the sky is the limit.
Exactly, that is the case.
That looked like fun.
Guys, now if you have any questions as such, you can surely ask me and I'll try to answer them. And throwing up some facts about this mission. First of all, this is the, you can say, second cheapest mission after the India's Mangalyaan mission. I mean, the overall cost of this mission is around only $200 million. That's it. And the Mangalyaan was like $150 million. So, yeah, that's the thing. And if you have other questions, you can ask me. We are around T-minus 16 minutes from the launch. And so 16 minutes from the okay, I think I have to otherwise I'll get some copyright or something. So yeah, till the time it is break there, let me just tell you that you can first of all, just a sec, you can ask me the questions. And right now we can also look at the Dopplers which are being observed by some of the people here. Okay, so yep, that is the thing. And you can ask me questions, guys. Uh, if you are here till the time the ad goes away. Otherwise, I can switch over to the other channel. But in that, the problem is they are speaking in Arabic, and we don't want to see. Okay, let me just switch over to that. Just a sec. Are they up now? No. Or they? Yep, they are good. Finally.
Emirates mission to Mars. This evening, we're going to be speaking to the biggest experts all over the world, from NASA and beyond, to find out who exactly has been involved in this mission and why it's so important.
Yes, and our next guest has been involved in more than half a dozen NASA planetary, lunar and solar missions over the decades, starting with the Viking Mars landers of the 1970s, and is now the principal investigator for the Maven orbiter, which is currently gathering data from the Red Planet.
Now, he says that the Emirates Mars mission builds on all the missions that have come before it. He is a vital member of the science team for the UAE Mars mission, and he joins us now live from Colorado. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, you've been an integral part of the project for 6 years. How are you feeling right now, the anticipation?
It's exciting and at the same time very nerve-wracking because of the risk of going into orbit.
It is exciting, Bruce, and there is only, as we know, a 50% chance of success. What can we expect, though, if it does go to plan?
Well, first of all, that 50% is based on historical success rates. I think
now
that
we
this
know
team has
much
done
better about
everything
the
that it
planet,
can
so
to be able to go
yeah.
into orbit successfully, and I'm very optimistic.
Now, we've heard there are 4 potential outcomes. We could either miss Mars entirely, we could potentially crash into Mars, we could do a bit of a loop round Mars, or the one we're all hoping for, it will be a successful plan. Take us through some of the potential options tonight.
Well, it's really hard to predict because everything is going according to plan right now. We're about 20 minutes away from the rocket motor burn to put us into orbit, and it's very hard to know what might go wrong. Anything that we think can go wrong has been addressed. But there are so many things. We've never gone into orbit around Mars with this spacecraft, even though we've tested the engines, we've tested the sequence. If something does go wrong, the team is standing by ready and do their best to recover from it.
Now, of course, we are all hoping that everything goes according to plan, but why is it so important that we gather this data with the HOPE probe over the next couple of years? You know, why do we need to understand more about Mars's atmosphere?
We're interested in understanding Mars for a number of reasons. One is by understanding how planets work, by understanding how the atmosphere and climate works on a planet with different boundary conditions than our own Earth. We learn more about how the Earth works. We're also trying to get at questions related to the habitability of Mars by microbes, whether there might be life there. And answering that question is really, in some sense, one of the overarching questions for Mars. Can we learn whether there's life there? What is that going to tell us about the origin of life here on Earth or about the distribution of life throughout the galaxy?
Now, the information that HOPE gathers will also be shared with the world for free to around 200 research centres. That seems quite unusual, but it's been an important part of the entire mission.
Well, that's one of the things that excites me. From the very beginning, the goal was not just to do a publicity stunt of getting to Mars, but to be able to contribute to the international scientific effort on Mars. And that's been an incredibly deep component of the effort so far. As a scientist working on Mars climate data, I'm very much looking forward to this data and to integrating it with everything else we know about Mars. No one probe can answer every question, but we're sending a lot of spacecraft to Mars, and that lets us bring a lot of data together to address some of the fundamental questions.
Now, of course, Bruce, 2 other probes will arrive at Mars this month, one tomorrow and one on the 18th. What can we expect from them? You know, how different will the data that they collect be from the Hope probe?
They're all very different. The Chinese probe is the one that arrives tomorrow. They'll go into orbit, and they also carry a rover that will go down to the surface. The orbiter will be studying the atmosphere and the upper atmosphere in ways similar to what MAVEN is doing. The rover is going to analyze the surface chemistry and take images of the surface. In a couple of weeks, the United States is landing its Perseverance rover. That's a car-size rover that is going to be looking at possible evidence for life on Mars, and we'll be collecting samples that we can bring back from Mars to the Earth to study. So they're all very different from each other, yet very complementary, each one doing a different part, addressing a different part of the overall problem of understanding Mars.
And I think having this progress, whichever country it comes from, and being able to share and collaborate this information is so important. Of course, here in the UAE, it's hoped that the information we collect is really going to help set the stage in terms of establishing a human settlement on Mars. The UAE leaders have said they plan to do it within 100 years. How will this mission form a part of that?
There are so many hazards and so many risks associated with sending humans to Mars. Everything we know about the Mars environment helps us. By learning about the atmosphere and the surface, it helps get rid of those risks so we know what we're facing. Equally importantly, by understanding some of the issues about the Mars environment, it lets us frame the questions that we want to address when we do send humans. Is there life on Mars, or was there ever life on Mars? And why or why not?
Now, I have to say, you've been very much involved in the project. So working with our team here, we know there was around 200 Emirati engineers, scientists, researchers, and a remarkably young team, around 27 years old. So I want to ask you, what was your experience of working with them? What was that like?
Well, the first thing is that I've been incredibly impressed with the passion devoted to this mission, not just from the engineers and scientists working in the Mohammed bin Rashid Science Center, but all the way up what we call the food chain to the senior politicians, the senior leaders in the country. Everybody is enthusiastic, and the goals of the program are not just to learn about Mars, but to elevate the Arab world scientifically and to support the youth of the country to demonstrate what we can do, what the United Arab Emirates can do. To me, this combination of the science and the passion and the political goals, the social and societal goals, really set the Emirates Mars mission apart from most other Mars missions.
Bruce Jakosky, thank you so much for joining us, giving up your precious time all the way from the USA. Really appreciate it. Fahad, how do you respond when you hear Bruce talking in such sort of glowing terms about the experience of working with the Emirati team? It is a young team, but they're very talented.
Exactly. So, first of all, guys, let me just tell you that it is like the signal from the probe to come to the Earth takes around 641 seconds. So it's around 10 minutes and 41 seconds. So, yep, that's the thing. So the adjusted time maybe because of that. And right now you can see that first of all, in the right hand corner there is the simulation which I have created to enter into the Mars orbit, and it will be running simultaneously. So let's see how does that go. And if you have any questions, you can ask me and I'll surely answer them. So yeah.
They've traveled to the US, they've worked in the labs there, worked among experts, scientists.
And if you want to support the channel, guys, support what I do, you can consider subscribing, becoming a Patreon. Link is down in the description, and super chat is always enabled for one-time funding.
The Emirates Mars Mission, and to show really where it is today.
Lots of guests here on this show, lots of guests down with Jad at the Burj Plaza. We'll be catching up with him in just a moment, but one of the lucky things that we've had on this program throughout this whole experience is the number of people that have been working on it that are so talented, and they want to share that story because they want to excite the next generation, the people watching at home, and the younger generation as well. And I think that's one of the key messages we talked about last time. Yeah. Young people have been infused by this, and we're seeing an increase in the STEM subjects, the science subjects, aren't we?
Yes, I mean, if you go back to 1976, that was the year when His Highness Sheikh Zayed Al Nahyan, God bless his soul, first met with the Apollo 17 astronauts here in the UAE with NASA, and it was an exciting moment where they actually brought a rock from the moon with them. And that was a dream, right? The UAE was 5 years old at the time, and we are here today realizing Sheikh Zayed's dream of actually going out into space. And so you can imagine the excitement about that. And now moving forward, right, 2117, right, 2117 Mars mission. That's when we hope to be there. That's when we hope to have humanity there. And if nobody else does it until then, we will definitely do it in honor of our leadership today.
Well, I believe that we can hand over to Jad now. He's down at Burj Plaza, and he's getting some of the big interviews down there, talking with some of the top people down there to find out what's been going on, what the latest situation is as well. So over to you, Jad.
Right, yes, I'm still right here at Burj Plaza, right in front of Burj Khalifa, and really our hearts are beating. We're all extremely excited. And with me right now is Dr. Eric Xing, and he's the president of the Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence. How are you today, and how are you feeling?
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to watch this amazing event. Yes, congratulations to the Arab world and to UAE for achieving this amazing goal.
Congratulations to all of us, all around the world. Really, this is something to really be proud of. Yeah, so I know that the Hope probe, upon its successful arrival to, hopefully, to Mars's orbit, is going to collect a lot of data. How is this going to influence or change the way we see science, and how is it going to change our future, possibly?
You know, Mars to the human being on Earth is an unknown world. So any data coming to us is a mystery. So, you know, all this data will expand our knowledge about the space, about the universe, and also about our Earth itself, because we may be learning, you know, a lot of, knowledge and maybe lessons from how Mars evolved in the past and how to protect our environment and how to make best use of a resource.
Because there's a lot of similarities between Earth and Mars, right?
Exactly. You know, we don't know whether Mars is our future or our past, right? So
what do we learn, like, from maybe the challenges that faced Mars? How can we fix maybe or find solutions for the challenges that we face here on Earth? And what is this message that's going to be delivered for the youth and the new generation?
Well, I think, Mars provides us a very good living example for how to build a ecosystem and how to build an environment that humans can thrive and survive and thrive, and also maybe build the future generations. And I believe all this data will be providing us a lot of knowledge to understand how geology, how atmosphere, how environment is changing, in light of many of the changes and other interactions between, the universe and also, the ecosystem, solar system.
What's the next step after doing all of this and after gathering all of this information? Do you have any insights or anything that in the near future we might be able to explore?
In near future, I think we are going to collect a lot of information to improve, our experience and our knowledge about the space. But in the long run, I was looking forward to learn more about this planet so that we can move there.
You are right. The only problem with that is that it is in Arabic.
But explore
the original one is way better.
Living system and our environment.
Thank you so much for being with us, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, 6 years ago, we watched the movie The Martian, and it was like a dream. Maybe it was a sci-fi movie, but now it's right here in the UAE. The future is right here and right now. I'll go back to you guys in the studio right now, and I'll keep you posted if I have more interviews and with any more valuable information. So back to you guys.
Thank you, Ajad. We're going to be crossing back and forth to him this evening throughout these celebrations and excitement live down at Burj Plaza. Well, if you want to get involved in the conversation on social media, make sure you tweet us. We are at Dubai One TV. Don't forget to use the hashtag Arabs to Mars. Now, the UAE has joined the world's leading nations in space research and exploration, opening up opportunities to form and accelerate the local financial landscape.
Dubai One's business editor Greg Fairley explains just what the country is doing to turn itself into a sustainable knowledge-based economy and why that's more important than ever before.
Okay.
The UAE is fast becoming a major player in the space exploration sector. This has substantial scope for science and also, importantly, for business. This mission reflects a broader aim here in the Emirates to drive innovation in science and technology and continue to diversify the local economy. The probe serves as a catalyst for accelerating the advancement towards a knowledge-based economy that retains world-class researchers to work in scientific and technological fields. What is a knowledge-based economy and how can it catapult the UAE into the next era of growth? The UAE's Vision 2021 calls for the UAE to be a nation that is united in knowledge and where innovation also plays a key part.
A remarkable journey of humanity. Very early on in the mission, I heard with one of the experts that what makes missions such as this, that are extremely challenging, successful, are the teams that work on it. With risky projects, you need a well-bonded team.
Now, this is way
you need
better.
to ensure that everything is transparent with the team and they drive it forward. We came from so many backgrounds, so many beliefs, but we had one common belief. We had the hope that through science, through exploration, humanity can be united. And it's through these thoughts and it is through this belief that we drove towards the point that we are today. Coexistence, embracing diversity, embracing different differences in individuals is part of what science is all about. It is what makes exploration, and it makes it the plight for the exploration, and it makes it the plight for the unknown. And it is through this mission that we've discovered realms of international collaboration, of advancing entire nations and pushing it forward. I would like to thank you for coming today to witness this event with us. This is a truly historic moment for all of us and for our children and for generations to come. Thank you.
So it is coming close, guys. Only 9 minutes left now until the burn starts, and hopefully I really wish that they are successful in this mission, and yeah, become the second country after India to
متقدمة رئيسة مجلس إدارة وكالة الإمارات للفضاء على هذا العرض التوضيحي. والسؤال هو: لماذا تذهب الإمارات إلى المريخ؟ وما هي غايتنا؟ الجواب يقدمه لنا سمو الشيخ حمدان بن محمد بن راشد المكتوم ولي عهد دبي رئيس مركز محمد بن راشد للفضاء. فلنتابع.
سنذهب للمريخ لأن برامج الفضاء هي بوابة للعلوم وهي بوابة لبناء العلماء، ولا مستقبل لنا بدون العلم ولا مستقبل لنا بدون المعرفة. سنذهب للمريخ لأننا نريد أن نغرس في شبابنا وشاباتنا ثقافة جديدة بأنه لا شيء مستحيل أمام الإمارات والإماراتيين، وبأننا إذا عزمنا نفذنا، وإذا حلمنا حققنا أحلامنا. سنذهب للمريخ لأن الإمارات تريد أن تكون في مقدمة النهضة العلمية العربية. رحلة المريخ هي رسالة أمل للعرب جميعاً. نحن نستطيع أن ننافس العالم في التكنولوجيا والعلم والمعرفة، والإمارات اليوم تقود التحول المعرفي العربي. سنذهب للمريخ لأن المريخ وسيلة لغاية أكبر. غايتنا ليست بناء مسبار وإطلاقه، غايتنا بناء إنسان. بناء إنسان هي رحلة بداها الشيخ زايد والشيخ راشد لبناء الإنسان، واليوم الشيخ محمد بن راشد والشيخ محمد بن زايد يكملان بناء الإنسان بعلمه ومعرفته وقدراته وطموحاته التي تصل السماء. سنذهب للمريخ لأننا نريد أن نبدأ رحلة جديدة في دولتنا، رحلة 50 عام القادمة. 50 عام مضت في دولة الإمارات حيث بدأنا من الصحراء، ونريد 50 عام القادمة أن تبدأ من صحراء المريخ، لأننا شعب لا يعرف المستحيل، ولا شيء يمكن أن يقف أمام طموحاتنا العالية. أوجه شكري وتقديري لفريق العمل، وأقول لهم المهمة نجحت قبل أن تبدأ الرحلة. رأسنا مرفوع وإنجازاتنا مستمرة، وقيادتنا لا تعرف إلا المركز الأول. تحية للرجال، تحية للأبطال، تحية لبنات الوطن المهندسات وصاحبات الإنجازات.
So yes guys, UAE is going to Mars and now they are just minutes away from arriving there and the burn to start. I am so much excited. My hands are sweating, and right now I wish all the best to UAE and let's hope this mission is successful.
المحلية والإقليمية والدولية، وينضم إلى معاليها كل من المهندس حصة المطروشي نائب مدير المشروع للشؤون العلمية، والمهندس عمر الشحي قائد فريق اختبار وتجميع المسبار، والمهندسة منى الحمادي مهندس ضمان الجودة والسلام. وسنفتح المجال للإعلاميين كي يطرحوا أسئلتهم، ويرجى من كل صحفي أن يذكر اسمه واسم المؤسسة الإعلامية التي ينتمي إليها قبل أن يطرح السؤال.
And you will be hopefully getting the views from the mission control center, and their mission control center is very futuristic.
اسمحوا لي بطرح أول سؤال على المهندسة حصة المطروشي. حصة، من الناحية العلمية لماذا تم اختيار كوكب المريخ، وكيف تتم عملية اختيار الأسئلة العلمية التي ستجيب عنها إن شاء الله مهمة مسبار الأمل؟
كوكب المريخ يعتبر محط أنظار جميع الباحثين الدوليين في هذا المجال، لأن لو نظرنا لكوكب المريخ خاصة 4 ملايين السنين قبل، كان كوكب مشابه في تكوينه لكوكب الأرض، كان له غلاف جوي سميك، كان في آثار تدل أن في مياه سائلة على سطحه. لكن لو شفنا الحين كوكب المريخ نشوف أن الغلاف الجوي جدا رقيق، وأيضا ما في علامات لوجود مياه سائلة على السطح. فالسؤال اللي يحير العلماء، شو سبب التحول المفاجئ هذا لكوكب المريخ؟ فوضعنا أهداف علمية في مشروع الإمارات لاستكشاف المريخ مسبار الأمل، تضيف معارف جديدة تفيد الباحثين في هذا المجال. فقبل ما نضع الأسئلة العلمية صرنا نشوف شو الثغرات اللي موجودة في هذا المجال عشان نقدر نضيف معلومات ومعارف جديدة. فوضعنا أهداف بحيث أن نحن نعطي صورة متكاملة عن الغلاف الجوي للمريخ، ندرس مختلف الطبقات بالتغيرات اليومية، وأيضا لجميع الفصول لمدة سنة مريخية كاملة.
شكرا مهندس حسن. إذا توجه للجمهور أو للأخوة الإعلاميين، ما أدري نسمع، تفضلوا.
So guys, right now we are around T-3 minutes from the burn to start. I am really getting very excited right now.
Good
Let's
evening,
see how
Jane
this
with
thing.
the Spoon Bureau Chief for Euronews Dubai here. I just wondered how important a mission, and does it feel to the UAE space program to be the first Arab nation to make it to Mars, and only the 5th in the world, what we hope to learn and what that will give us in terms of when we build a Mars-like community here on Earth.
Thank you for the question. With regards to what this brings for the UAE, like I mentioned earlier, first it was capability development that drove the Emirates to work on building such a mission. We started on our space program in 2006 building Earth observation satellites to transition our capabilities, especially to design and develop very complex systems, which is what industry is based on. We required something that would accelerate the development of capabilities. Missions to outer space are difficult, but missions to other planets such as Mars are even harder. And the odds of getting there and the risk profile is much higher. So if you associate development throughout the 6 years in terms of capabilities, together with amplifying the risk profile, so your ability to manage risks and mitigate them to ensure that you design a very complex system, deploy it and utilize it. The other aspect that's linked to this mission is the scientific aspect. Prior to this mission, a lot of the possibilities of work that is associated with the natural sciences was linked towards the academia. We needed to diversify that. This mission allowed the amalgamation of both the science community and the engineering community to work together on building this mission. And due to the fact that the science of this mission is considered unique in nature, this entire spacecraft, together with the science capabilities, needed to be developed together. And that's the reason why we went into getting to the point where we are today of development.
Actually, guys, the burn has
this year
already started, if I'm not wrong, and now the signal to receive the Earth is like T-1 minute.
And that's been mostly the driver behind this mission towards the diversification of
I'm
the
so
economy.
happy and so excited right now.
Do we have another question?
Wow. T-1 minutes until this thing.
إبراهيم الماس من تلفزيون دبي. سؤالي لكم كيف سيتم مشاركة بيانات مسبار الأمل مع المجتمع العلمي؟ وأيضا السؤال الثاني، ماذا ستستفيد الإمارات من محاولة إرسال مسبار الأمل إلى المريخ؟ شكرا لكم.
شكرا.
نحن نحرص أن نشارك البيانات كلها للمجتمع العلمي المحلي وأيضا الدولي. بنشارك البيانات عن طريق منصة رقمية. هذه المنصة بنطلع فيها المعلومات كحزم. فأول حزمة بنطلعها من المعلومات اللي هي بعد ما ندخل المدار العلمي للمريخ ب4 أشهر، بعد ما يتأكد الفريق من جاهزية البيانات ومعايرتها، بنشاركها من خلال المنصة الرقمية للجميع مجانا، لأن هدفنا هي تنمية المعلومات والمعارف البشرية في المجتمع العلمي الدولي. فنبغي الجميع يشاركنا في هذه المرحلة في تحليل هذه البيانات العلمية عشان نستكشف أسرار كوكب المريخ مع بعض.
And now the burn should have started, just waiting for the signal to confirm. Let's see how this goes.
عندما نصنع أدوات أو أجهزة علمية للاستخدام
Should
على
be on
كوكب
now.
الأرض، وحين نصنعها للعمل في بيئة الفضاء.
طبعا كلنا نعرف اليوم ان بيئة الفضاء تعتبر بيئة قاسية تختلف عن كوكب الأرض، فأي جهاز
Waiting for the signal to
يستخدم على
confirm.
كوكب الأرض احتمالية ان
The spectrum
يستخدم في
is not
الفضاء
looking
تكون- أو
good
يشتغل
right
في الفضاء
now.
تكون احتمالية معدومة وشبه
If I
معدومة.
can pull up
وبالتالي حق أي
you
قمر
for
صناعي
you
متجه
just a sec.
للفضاء في معايير للجودة والسلامة نضعها، نتأكد أن هذا القمر الصناعي يشتغل بكفاءة وبجودة عالية طوال مدة المهمة. تخصيصا مسبار الأمل، مسبار الأمل معايير الجودة والسلامة فيه معايير أعلى، لأن عندنا أجهزة علمية وأنظمة كهربائية حساسة جدا، وبالتالي للحفاظ على جودة وسلامة المسبار في كافة المراحل من عمليات التصميم، عمليات التركيب، الإطلاق إلى آخره، في معايير عالية. فعمل الفريق على وضع خطط وقائية لمسبار الأمل تضمن سلامته وجودته في كل المراحل حتى من بعد الإطلاق لحين وصوله للمدار إن شاء الله اليوم.
Guys,
من هذه الخطة
just searching and waiting for actual confirmation to happen.
أيضا عندنا في مركز محمد بن راشد الفضاء غرف نظيفة، وهي الغرف اللي فحصنا فيها المسبار وتمت فيها عمليات التركيب
بالتالي نحافظ على متغيرات بيئية مختلفة منها درجات الحرارة والرطوبة، ونضمن أن كل هذه العمليات تتم في بيئة نحافظ فيها على بيئة المسبار. كذلك البعض ممكن يتساءل يوم المسبار كيف نحافظ على جودته، كيف نحافظ على صيانته. عندنا من التحديات اللي واجهناها نقلة من دبي إلى تانيغاشما وهي جزيرة الإطلاق. بالتالي صمم الفريق حلول مبتكرة بالتعاون مع شركائنا. صممنا حاوية نقل كأنها غرفة نظيفة متنقلة صغيرة. استطعنا بهذا الحل نقل المسبار في عدة طرق، نقل بري وبحري وجوي، والحمد لله وصل إلى مرحلة الإطلاق بسلام.
جميل، شكرا المهندسة منى. وننتقل الآن إلى غرفة التحكم في منطقة الخوانيج في مركز محمد بن راشد للمرة الثانية، ونتواصل مع قائد المهمة المهندس عمران شرف ليطلعنا على المستجدات.
Exactly, we need to have some information from the control center.
إلى جميع الفرق حسب الإشارات الواردة إلى المحطة الأرضية، نظام أنظمة المسبار تعمل بشكل جيد وبطريقة منتظمة.
If someone can
محركات
translate.
الدفع الستة تعمل بشكل جيد. درجات الحرارة لنظام الدفع حسب النطاق المتوقع. تم تنفيذ الأوامر الذاتية حسب السيناريو المعتمد. نظام الطاقة إيجابي. التوجيه في نظام الملاحة جيد. البرمجيات تعمل حسب المتوقع. سرعة الاتصال 101.6 بت في الثانية.
Okay, it's working good. Yep, it is working good.
المهندس عمران شرف. ونعود إلى معالي سارة.
I'm so excited guys.
الحمد لله الإشارات اللي أعطانا إياها اليوم مهندس عمران تدل على صحة الأوامر. بدت بالمتوقع إن كانت
Everything is going well. Thank you so much for translating it.
الإشارات اللي توصلنا من المسبار.
Okay.
إن كانت من درجة حرارة المحركات لأن هاي مهم جدا والفريق يتابعها، وإن كانت من إشارة
Hi everyone.
سريان الكماند
Finally something is going to Mars.
لله الحمد هاي إشارة خير، ونترقب الإشارة الثانية اللي بتوصلنا من المسبار، وبإذن الله نحتفل جريب.
شكرا معاليك. شكرا معالي الوزيرة، وشكر موصول لكل من المهندسة حصة المطروشي وللمهندس عمر الشحي والمهندسة منى الحمادي، ونعتذر عن الإخفاق في الرد على يمكن جميع أسئلتكم. وشكرا.
Control center has confirmed the start of the fuel burning process. Wow, it's happening, and let's hope that the fuel burning phase, means this insertion phase goes as per their intuition and nothing goes bad, and we finally get to see this thing inserted into the Mars orbit. I'm really very excited for it. Let's see everything goes well. It must be a 27-minute burn, guys. There are 6 120 Newton thrusters which will be firing to slow this thing down. So this spacecraft will be facing a retrograde position basically, and in that time it will by retrograde I mean that it will face the engines in that direction in which it is heading. So when it fires up the engine, so it will slow down the speed of the spacecraft, and we need to slow down the speed of the spacecraft so as to insert ourselves into the orbit of the Mars. So that's what right now the spacecraft is doing. Although there is a you can say a gap of around 10.5 minutes. I mean, just the thing which you are right now seeing here, which we are right now seeing here on the Earth, has happened already 10 minutes before. So there is a 10-minute delay which happened. So right now everything is going good, and let's see what we have now.
انطلقت العديد من البعثات لاستكشاف المريخ، فما موقع مهمة الإمارات المريخية من هذه البعثات؟ ما الجديد الذي ستقدمه للمجتمع العلمي والبشرية؟ العالم الأمريكي البارز نيل تايسون يحدثنا عن مهام مسبار الأمل الإماراتي غير المسبوقة في تاريخ البعثات السابقة للكوكب الأحمر. وتايسون هو عالم مختص بالفيزياء الفلكية، وهو أيضا كاتب ومقدم العديد من البرامج العلمية في التلفزيون، ويعمل حاليا باحثا في قسم الفيزياء الفلكية في المتحف الأمريكي للتاريخ الطبيعي. فلنستمع.
Must be Neil Tyson now.
Mars, what an interesting target that is.
The burn will take 27 minutes.
I'm delighted to learn that the United Arab Emirates is sending a Hope probe to Mars. This is a mission that carries so many dimensions to its value to the United Arab Emirates, to the Arab states, to the world. The mission is going to go into orbit around Mars and measure its atmosphere. That's something that no one has really done before. We've been distracted by its surface. All right, might there be life? Is there water? Will there polar ice caps? Meanwhile, what does the atmosphere tell us? Any indication of what the atmosphere was once like? What it will be like in the future? Oh my gosh. You don't have water unless there's an atmosphere that can support it. Science is the greatest source of collaboration of nations there ever was. Why? Because scientists speak the same language as each other. Same with engineers and mathematicians. So it is inherently ripe for bringing international collaborators with you so they can participate in your dreams. We did that in the United States, all right? We didn't just create a space program all by ourselves. No, we got help. And you know what that did for us back then? These were headlines. Oh my gosh, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a scientist. You didn't need special programs to excite people. They just wanted to do it because it was a point of pride. It was a point of participation. Everyone was cheering. And so if you can capture that spirit with your Hope probe, not only in the United Arab Emirates itself, but in the Arab states, you can ensure generations of people will want to carry that torch forward. And by the way, this torch has kind of always been there. So the legacy is there. And you just have to look back a little ways and say, yeah, that used to happen, and it used to happen here in the Middle East. And looking at how you've conceived the project, oh my gosh, with the fraction of women who are participating in it at all levels of the project, as scientists, engineers, and managers, the fact that women are a big part of that will ensure that your future is reaching for all the best ideas, the best talent that could possibly be produced on that frontier of exploration. So that's what makes it just a spectacular mission. It's an affirmation that exploration and discovery is not really just for scientists, it's for us all. So, congratulations. And I'll even say good luck, because sometimes you need a little bit of that too. Oh, I'll add one more thing. When you're on the frontier, occasionally stuff goes wrong. Nothing wrong with that. All right? Some wise mentors I've had told me the day you stop making mistakes is the day you can guarantee you are no longer on the frontier.
Yeah, that's Neil Tyson for you guys. Wow. It is happening right now. It's a 27-minute burn. Everything is fully autonomous. Nothing has been controlled by Mission Control Center right now here. They are just monitoring it, and whatever wrong happens, the onboard computer has to decide what it has to do basically. So if any of the engine fails, or if any of the engine underperforms or is shut down, then there will be some problem. So at anything which happens, the mission control is there just to see it. nothing, they can't control anything from here because there is a delay of around 10.5 minutes for the signal. And yeah, the onboard computer is there, fully automatic, everything is fully automatic. It has to be, otherwise things can go wrong. So let's hope they are successful today.
تميت أسبوعين رحت أمريكا.
كل تحديات الصعوبات
Yes, Hayat Wolf, it has started only T plus 12 minutes until it has started.
بأوقات إنه فعلا يعني حسينا بس ما يخلونا، هم فعلا كانوا عائلة.
كان عندي طبعا فريق في دولة الإمارات يعمل على المسبار، وكان عندي فريق ثالث كان ينتقل إلى دولة الإمارات والولايات المتحدة، بس الكل ضحى
وقاوموا التحديات والمشاكل والظروف.
إيمان الفريق بأهمية هذا المشروع وأثر هذا المشروع على الجيل القادم كانت
رحلة مثيرة، لكن الأهم من بلوغ هذه الرحلة هو الطريق إليها، والأهم من تحقيق الهدف هو السعي من أجله. نترككم الآن مع عرض ملهم لمسبار الأمل على أكبر شاشة في العالم، شاشة برج خليفة.
Okay, we have something on Burj Khalifa again. Okay. And yes, guys, whosoever is understands Arabic, they can, if they can translate it in the chat, it would be very nice of them. Comrade Jebediah Kerman, that's actually my simulation. I tried to add it so as to enhance your stream experience for exactly what is happening right now. So yeah, that's a replica of Hope Mars probe right there in KSP. There are so many engines right there, and they all have to perform very well. Wow. And there you have the Burj Khalifa dedicating itself to the Hope Mars mission. Wow. now guys, it must have either landed, it must have either got into the orbit, or it could have got into the atmosphere, or was not able to even capture into the orbit. So right now, since there is a delay, so yeah, thruster firing should have closed right now, and the orbiter, if this mission is successful, should be in orbit right now. Let's see. We do have to wait for around another 9 minutes or so for the signal to reach here in the mission control center, and for the mission control center to confirm if everything went according to the plan. There is a period of the Mars shadow also, and I think we have passed it, so yeah.
حضورنا الكريم، لقد مر المسبار في عدة مراحل، ولكن أصعب هذه المراحل هي
Arabic,
مرحلة الساعة العمياء.
if anyone can translate it, please do that into the chat.
ثلاثة، اثنان، واحد.
انطلق مسبار الأمل بنجاح مغادرا كوكبنا الأزرق في طريقه نحو الكوكب الأحمر المغلف بالأسرار. بعد شهور من السفر في الفضاء وقطع مسافة 493.5 مليون من الكيلومترات، يبقى التحدي الأكبر في هذه المهمة هو إدخال مسبار الأمل في مدار المريخ بشكل يجب أن يخفض المسبار سرعته التي تتجاوز 121,000 كيلومتر في الساعة إلى 18,000 كيلومتر في الساعة، والحل في استخدام نصف كمية الوقود داخل خزانات المسبار. في خلال نحو 27 دقيقة يمر المسبار بمرحلة الدقائق العمياء، حيث يجب أن تتم عملية المناورة بسرعة بطيئة جداً، كما أن زمن وصول الإشارات اللاسلكية للمسبار متأخرة. وقد تطول مدة إبطاء المسبار إلى نحو 42 دقيقة في حالة فقدان محرك أو 2، لكنه إذا فقد محركاً إضافياً ينتهي كل شيء.
Well, I'm so excited. Only 6 minutes around left for the confirmation to happen. If this is successful, the orbit achieved should have been 1,000 km by 49.
الحاسمة. وسنعود بعد قليل إلى المحطة التحكم الأرضي بمركز محمد بن راشد للفضاء بمنطقة الخوانيج للمرة الأخيرة. وفي هذه اللحظة ندعو معالي سارة الأميري للانضمام إلينا على المسرح.
So, if anyone can translate that.
مرحبا معاليك.
مرحبتين.
معاليك الحين نحن في يمكن المرحلة الأخيرة وفي المرحلة الحرجة ونرتقب الأنباء من الخوانيج. ذكرت في العرض أن عملية المحركات النفاث اللي خفض من سرعة المسبار. فهل هذه أول مرة تم استخدام فيها محركات نفاذة في المسبار أو استخدمت قبل منذ بعد الإطلاق؟
المسبار هذا يعتبر مسبار تم تصميمه للمرة الأولى فقط لمسبار الأمل. لم يتم استخدام الأجزاء اللي موجودة حاليا فيه في الفضاء إلا بعض الأجزاء الدقيقة. فنظام الدفع تم تصميمه لمسبار الأمل فقط، فلم يتم استخدامه لهذه الفترة الزمنية. احنا نجري اختبارات واحنا موجودين في كوكب الأرض، ولكن ما نقدر نشغل المحركات لمدة 27 دقيقة لأنها مصنعة للعمل في الفضاء الخارجي. استخدمناها أثناء دربنا ونحن سايرين للمريخ، لأن يوم نطلق باتجاه المريخ ما نطلق مباشرة باتجاه المريخ تجنباً لوقوع أي حوادث من نظام الإطلاق اللي موجود حول المسبار. فيكون في عدة إجراءات تصحيحية للمسار عشان نرجع للمسار اللي نحن نبغى ندخل فيه في المدار حول المريخ. وتم استخدام المحركات ولكن لبضعة ثواني، ما يقارب 27 دقيقة اللي احنا ياسين نمر فيها. التغييرات اللي تستوي يتم حرق نصف كمية الوقود، ففي تغيير كبير في خزان الوقود، خاصة من جانب درجة الحرارة اللي موجودة. درجة الحرارة اللي موجودة في أجزاء مختلفة من المسبار، عشان شيء أخوي عمران يوم أعطانا الأبديت الأخير ذكر درجات الحرارة. درجات الحرارة مهمة جدا، والمسبار تم برمجتها أنه يتأكد بالحفاظ على الحرارة المناسبة للإلكترونيات اللي موجودة على متن المسبار، وأيضا على الأجهزة العلمية اللي موجودة على المسبار. ففي عدة عوامل تدخل في موضوع الدخول. نحن جربناه بأكثر قدر نقدر نجربه في الأرض، وتم وضع عدة سيناريوهات للتجريب، ولله الحمد كان يتجاوب مع التجارب اللي موجودة، ويمكن التجربة الأخيرة بنشوف نتائجها خلال الدقائق الجاية
إن شاء الله بإذن الله. معاليك يمكن سؤال عن كيفية تحديد موقع المسبار في الفضاء العميق.
المسبار شبهيا يعرف موقعه عن طريق استخدام نظام تصوير النجوم اللي موجودة من حوله. في نظام تصوير اسمه ستار تراكر ياخذ التقاط للنجوم اللي موجودة حول المسبار، وفي بنك من النجوم، لأن النجوم ما تتغير بشكل سريع وجودها في أماكنها. في بنك من الأجهزة من الصور لمجموعات النجوم، وعن طريقها يقدر يصوب المسبار نفسه في الفضاء. وأيضا يستخدم الشمس كنقطة أيضا، وفي حساسات لاتجاه الشمس بعد موجودة على المسبار. فنظام الملاحة يستخدم عدة عوامل ومدخلات فيه، وأيضا في أنظمة أرضية بعد تحدد مكان المسبار.
جميل. 22 دقيقة تفصل بين لحظة إرسال الاتصال من المسبار وبين استقباله على كوكب الأرض، فكيف يؤثر هذا على إدارة عمليات المسبار معاليك؟
احنا أول ما أطلقنا كنا نتواصل مع المسبار بشكل مباشر لأنه كان قريب من الأرض. كل ما ابتعد كل ما الإشارات أخذت وقت أطول أنها توصل لكوكب الأرض. يتغير معانا مع ال7 شهور اللي طافت، تم تغيير طريقة التحكم بالمسبار من تحكم مباشر نقدر نرسل له الأوامر ونشوف شو ردة فعله ونتأكد من صحة وسلامة الأجهزة الموجودة فيه، إلى المرحلة اللي نحن واصلينها اليوم نبرمجها قبل، يتم برمجة الأوامر قبل. في نظام مشابه لمسبار الأمل متواجد على الأرض، يتم نقل هذه البرمجة إلى هذا النظام للتأكد من صحة وسلامة البرمجة اللي بيتم إرسالها أو الأوامر اللي سيتم إرسالها إلى المسبار، ومن بعدها يتم إرسال الأوامر للمسبار وتلقي الإشارات، وفي تحليل طبعا من بين تفاوت. تفاوتنا من متابعة المسبار بشكل يومي أو على ساعات اليوم إلى متابعته فقط 3 مرات إلى 2 مرات في الأسبوع. من يوم الجمعة اللي طاف احنا متابعين المسبار على مدى 24 ساعة لمدة 4 أيام لين اليوم.
معليش يمكن سؤال عن كيفية الاتصال بالمسبار.
Guys, now is the time mission control would be looking in for the confirmation of the orbit insertion. Let's see what happens now. It is there, the time is there already, and we need to be looking at the mission control now.
نتوجه إلى مركز محمد بن راشد
And please guys translate what they are saying.
للاستماع للأخبار. إلى قائد المهمة مهندس عمران شرف، هل تسمعنا؟
من قائد المهمة إلى جميع الفرق، على الجميع الاستعداد لإجراء التقييم النهائي لصحة المسبار. أكرر، على الجميع الاستعداد لإجراء التقييم النهائي لصحة المسبار. شكرا لقائد المهمة. بعدنا نرتقب الأخبار من الخوانيج، فسامحين على المقاطعة معليش. فإذا نرجع لسؤال التواصل مع المسبار والبنية التحتية اللازمة.
المحطة الأرضية اللي شفناها حاليا تتلقى الإشارات من عند المسبار ويتم ترجمتها في الأجهزة اللي موجودة من قدام الشباب، إن كان في غرفة التحكم، ورا تشوفون شباب ياسين، هذه غرفة الهندسة المهندسين ياسين فيه، يتابعون كل الأنظمة اللي حاليا سألهم المهندس عمران يتأكدون من صحتها وسلامتها. ولكن تلقي الإشارة نحتاج للفضاء العميق إلى أجهزة تعتبر أجهزة ضخمة بشكل كبير. شفنا المهندس عمران طلع في نهايات التأكد، لازم يتأكد من الفريق مش عن طريق النظام اللاسلكي بس، يدخل على الفريق الهندسي ويتأكد من المسؤول عن الفريق الهندسي عن صحة وسلامة الأجهزة اللي موجودة في المسبار، ومن بعدها بيرجع إلى حاليا هو عند المهندس سيل، عند المهندسة عاشة إذا أنا مش غلطانة، عشان نظام الدفع والتأكد من انتهاء من نظام الدفع، من إشارات والتليكوميونيكيشنز إذا أنا مش غلطانة. ما يتأكد من كل فريق حاليا قبل ما يتم الرد من علينا على وصول مسبار الأمل بإذن الله بنجاح. فالمحطات اللي موجودة هي موجودة حول العالم لتغطية العالم كامل، وتعتبر واسمها الديب سبيس نتورك أو محطة تلقي الإشارات من الفضاء العميق.
So guys, can anyone translate what they said?
المهندس عمران رجع إلى غرفة القيادة. معاليك إن شاء الله يدخل مسبار الأمل إلى مدار الالتقاط. كم هي المدة للانتقال من هذا المدار إلى مدار العمليات العلمية؟
ياخذنا عدة أسابيع للتأكد من صحة وسلامة كل الأجهزة اللي موجودة في المسبار. بعد ما نخلص الأسابيع هاي ننتقل إلى مدار العلمي اللي هو يعتبر المدار الأخير لمسبار الأمل حول الكوكب.
وتكون بنفس طريقة دخوله إلى المدار الالتقاط؟
أسهل الطريقة لدخوله لأنه بيغير مداره باستخدام المحركات. التحدي اللي موجود في المرحلة هاي تعتبر منخفضة جدا، وبس مجرد دخولنا في مدارنا حول المريخ لا سمح الله إذا ما قدرنا ننتقل للمدار المترقب بعد في بيانات علمية بتطلع من المسبار باستغلال الأجهزة. فأصعب تحدي هو التحدي الحالي اللي احنا فيه. في تأكد أيضا من الفرق الباك اب تيمز حاليا من قبل المهندس يتأكدون أيضا أنهم شافوا نفس البيانات اللي الفريق شافها اللي متواجد حاليا في الأجهزة المختلفة والأنظمة المختلفة في المسبار.
Okay, so
دقائق حرجة إذا وضغط كبير على الفريق.
فعلا. إلى جميع الفرق، إلى شعب دولة الإمارات، إلى الأمة العربية والإسلامية، نعلن نجاح وصول دولة الإمارات في مدار كوكب الأحمر. اللهم لك الحمد، اللهم لك الحمد، اللهم لك الحمد.
Okay, so this is successful. Wow. Now this is what you call an epic moment.
لحظات تاريخية.
إذا كما استمعتم الحمد لله مسبار الأمل دخل وبنجاح إلى مداره حول كوكب المريخ. الحمد لله.
قائد الفريق عمران، شرف ولحظة تاريخية للإمارات وللوطن العربي.
معليش، فهذه كما ذكرتم أصعب مرحلة، والحمد لله تعالى تخطينا هذه المرحلة بنجاح. مهمات لكوكب المريخ أخرى تصل الأسبوع هذا إلى كوكب المريخ؟
في مهمتين غير مهمة الإمارات السياحة المريخ توصل ولكن لله الحمد الإمارات وصلت كخامس دولة، بتي بعدنا الصين ومن بعدها الولايات المتحدة.
الحمد لله إن شاء الله.
إذن الإمارات تدخل أبواب التاريخ في هذه اللحظة بدخول مسبار الأمل مداره صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن راشد آل مكتوم وصاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن زايد آل نهيان.
Thank you Angel for that €2 super chat, really helpful and mission is successful.
هذه اللحظة التاريخية وإنجاز للإمارات وللوطن العربي.
أقول أخونا محمد بن زايد يقول مبروكين على المريخ والتاريخ.
الحمد لله الحمد لله.
وما قصر يا طويل.
الحمد لله الحمد لله. اسمح لي بكلمتين نشكرهم.
تفضل.
مبروكين يا شباب، مبروكين انتم علينا، مبروكين انتم على شعب الامارات، مبروكين على امتنا العربيه اللي حققتوه شرف لكم ولأهلكم ولبلادكم ولأمتكم. شيء ثاني أريد أبارك لمعزبنا وشيخنا سيدي صاحب السمو الشيخ خليفة بن زايد، وللمعزب وتاج راسي أبو راشد اللي كان الدينامو الرئيسي وراء هذا الحدث. أبارك لحكام دولة الإمارات، أبارك لشعب دولة الإمارات الوفي المخلص اللي اليوم فرحته ما توصف. أنتم السبب بعد توفيق رب العالمين. ما ننسى صورة الشيخ زايد، وهذا التاريخ يذكرنا به اليوم. سنة الحياة يا عيالي، جيل يسلم الراية الجيل والحياة تمشي. هو بداها وانتم وصلتوا الحمد لله. مشكورين على المجهود، مشكورين على المستوى، مشكورين على التشريف اللي شرفتونا به. رفعتوا راية بلادكم وسمعتها في المريخ. حفظكم ربي، جيل يشرف، ومبروكين مرة ثانية انتوا على بلادكم. سعدنا بشوفكم، فرحتنا كبيرة. حفظكم ربي. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله.
Okay, they are giving their congratulations message. Guys, look at their space center, man.
الإمارات
so
أول دولة عربية وخامس دولة في العالم العربي تصل إلى المريخ. نبارك لقيادة الإمارات وشعب الإمارات وشعوب الوطن العربي هذا الإنجاز التاريخي، ونعد العالم بالمزيد من الإنجازات التي نضعها في خدمة الإنسان والإنسانية.
شكرا لفريق مسبار الأمل ضمن مشروع الإمارات لاستكشاف المريخ، والشكر الأكبر للقوة الداعمة والدافعة لهذا الفريق المتميز صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن راشد آل مكتوم وصاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن زايد آل نهيان، وذلك بتوجيهات سيدي صاحب السمو الشيخ
Guys, so the thing is, the mission is successful. UAE has become the second country after India to reach Mars in its first attempt. Incredible job done, guys. Congratulations to UAE, to UAE Space Agency and everyone involved in this mission.
تعالوا عقوا هذا يا شباب. تعالوا عدلنا. تعالوا
عقب نرجع نصور يا الشباب.
يلا هاتوهم خليهم هني، خليهم اليوم.
الحين نصور هينا ونصور الجماعه الثانيه.
قربوا
لو بتنزلوا تحت بتصوروا تقربوا ومشوا. يلا صوروا.
حتى لو ما بتطلعونها بالاعلام بس نحتفظ فيها.
لايف سيدي
لايف.
اسمع لي اليوم تاريخي اليوم جدا.
مبروك مبروكين يا عيال مبروكين. ابو راشد ما بديني؟
لانك هذه المسؤوله عن الثرست. كان الاعتماد وايد عليها.
You did fantastic. الله يحفظك. وانت شو تخصص وانت؟ الله يحفظك ويسلمك.
والله مثل ما قال اخوي محمد انتم اليوم شرفتونا يعني.
اشهد.
وصلتوا لهالدرجه.
الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله على التوفيق.
اللي بيتم ترجع.
بعدك سيدي الله يحفظك. مبروكين يا عيال مرة ثانية. سلموا على أهلكم. الله يسلمك.
مبروك مبروك للإمارات وللوطن العربي هذا الإنجاز التاريخي. مبروكين الإمارات كلها والشعوب العربية كلها، لحظة تاريخية لنا جميعا.
الله يبارك في حياتكم.
Let them finish, guys, and then we will talk and discuss about what all has happened.
إذا هم الفريق الأغلى والأثمن لدى الجميع، ليس فقط لدولة الإمارات ولكن للشعوب العربية. هم أمل المستقبل. القيادة الحكيمة والرشيدة سخرت كل الإمكانيات لهذا المشروع التاريخي. نعم فعلا كما قال صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن راشد المكتوم، رؤوسنا في السماء. شكرا حضورنا الكريم، شكرا من إنجاز إلى إنجاز. هكذا هي الإمارات. شكرا شكرا
شكرا. وترقبوا بعد دقيقتان عرض مرة أخرى بأكبر شاشة في العالم وهي واجهة برج خليفة.
So guys, this is it. This is in front of you. This was a successful Mars Orbit Insertion burn, and they have completed it very successfully.
العرض على برج خليفة.
The biggest part is that they have achieved this in their very first attempt. That is so cool. I mean, wow. Wow. And there you go, guys. Finally, we have seen now that the notion that you can't reach Mars in your first attempt and the success rate is only 50%. I think this is the beginning of that. First India did it, and now UAE did it with their with both of their orbiter right now doing healthy, and hopefully in the coming few days we will actually see some images coming out of this Mars orbiter of UAE. I mean, I'm really excited, and I'm now double excited for tomorrow also, because tomorrow we have China coming up with their Tianwen-1 mission, and that is their another okay, so that is the another mission, Mars mission, which has lander, rover, and orbiter. That will be so cool to watch, and I'll be streaming that, so do come and join with me, taking on every question and maybe giving the answer to. I don't think so I can play the music which is right now going in. Maybe copyright issue could happen, but yeah. So talking about the final thoughts about this mission, I mean, I really didn't expect yeah, in nowhere, and now UAE is like in that elite club of space members who space countries who has achieved the feat of reaching Mars. This is the fifth country. UAE is the fifth country now, after Russia, China, no, after Russia, and ESA has also there. US has probe, has its probe there, obviously, and the India. The China's is Tianwen-1 is reaching tomorrow, so yep, that's the case. So wow. So right now what will happen is right now the orbiter is in its you can say the capture orbit, right? And it will come into its operational orbit, which is that that they call as a science orbit, and it is a bit different from that. Right now it must be in an orbit of around 1000 kilometer by 49,000 kilometer, which is the elliptical orbit, and which has a periapsis. You can actually see that of around 1000 kilometers. So now this is their capture orbit. Now they will be slowly coming into the science orbit, which will be the orbit in which the periapsis will be 20,000 kilometers, and then the apoapsis will be 43,000 kilometers. So they will be raising the periaps and decreasing the apoaps. So yep, that's the case. Congratulations to UAE, congratulations to United Arab Space Agency that they have achieved this feat of sending the probe to Mars. And everything was done successfully well. Now they are in the orbit. Hopefully we will now be getting some science out of it. And I'm really very, very excited for it. Wow. So now I should be taking on some of your questions. If you have any, you can certainly ask me, and I'll be answering them. So just ask me, and we'll be all good. What is the purpose of Hope Mars probe? All Safe Cybersecurity asked. So the purpose of this probe is to study the Martian atmosphere. I mean, the Martian, everyone has studied other aspects of the Mars actually, but they have studied the surface, the lower atmosphere, the actual atmosphere which is there, the geology and everything, but no one has touched the atmosphere. And we also have to want to know the things, or you can say the secrets which are hiding behind the atmosphere. So this Mars mission from the UAE will serve that purpose of studying the Martian atmosphere for 2 years, and yes, and generating around 1 terabytes of data and transmitting that back to Earth. Okay, so yep, that is the thing, and I think I can now end the stream, or if you have anything else, you can ask me. Yes, so guys, just don't be, just relax and just celebrate the achievement which UAE has achieved right now, and just focus yourself on celebration right now rather than talking about anything else. So yeah, they have achieved this thing, and now the probe is in the Martian orbit. Let's just celebrate that. Let's just sink it in a bit. So yep, that's the thing. James asked how many days before the first photo comes out. Well, that depends. It should be, I mean, it should be less than 3 weeks, because first of all, they will be going in from the transit. They will be They will be actually doing the transition from the capture orbit to the science orbit in about 3 weeks. So before that, they have to take the picture from the Martian, obviously from the Mars. So yep, that's the case. Apsa ask, please tell how will it land? This is not landing, this is an orbiter, which means that it will simply orbit the Mars planet and then collect the data. Orbiting means the like satellites. Satellites revolve around the Earth. That's how in the Mars, this satellite, this is also a satellite for Mars. This will revolve around Mars and collect the data. Okay, so yeah, that is pretty much about it. Let me see if we have any other details. And if we have, then I'll just tell you. I don't think so. We do have any other details. Just right now, just the. Oh, okay, here you go. Wow. Emirates Mars mission is finally successful. And I am so much happy about it. I just can't tell you guys right now. I mean, finally UAE has done it, and right now this Mars probe, or Hope probe as they say, is in the Mars orbit. This is the power of you can say the knowledge and determination of the guys who have done this. And obviously uh, the good luck factor also, because you need that luck factor, you always need that. And so yep, that's the case. Everything matched, the stars matched, their knowledge matched, their whatever scenario they imagined, that actually happened that way only, and nothing went wrong. And finally the mission is successful. It will not come back, Hafsa. It will not come back. Satellites which revolve around the Earth, they also don't come back. Exceptions are always there, but yeah, this orbiter is will simply be going into the orbit around the Mars. It won't be coming back. It will stay there, and slowly, when its mission life is ended, when it's all, I mean, the all of the fuel, if of the Hope Mars probe is ended, then it will hopefully deorbit or burn up in the atmosphere. Exactly. Thanks, Hafsa. Appreciate it. Did right now, I mean, the coverage, talking about the coverage, there was one English coverage coming out of Dubai One news channel. So obviously it's a news channel, so they will be talking it in that way. Although I would have liked for the international community to, for the, I mean, the UAE to at least do the English translation version also the next time, maybe, because obviously this time they have to manage and they have to be focused on the mission. And when they have actually done it on the first try, then when they go with their second attempt, then they must actually focus on the improving the coverage, maybe. But right now it looks good. And so now it a sec, do we have anything else to listen and study about? uh So yeah, this is the thing. This image basically summarizes the mission profile of this mission. So right now the Mars orbit insertion has been completed successfully. So the orbiter is in this orbit, in this orbit around the Mars, and this is the capture orbit. And then it will actually do the transition uh, to come into the science orbit, which is this one. And to do the transition, what will it it will do is it will stay in this orbit for some time. First of all, the orbit for the orbital period for this orbit is around 44 hours, if I'm not wrong. And then uh, uh, staying in there for around 3 weeks, if I'm not wrong, it will then come at apoapse, fire up its engine and raise the periapse to around between 1000 to 20,000 kilometers. I mean, near to 20,000. So you can say 15,000 to 20,000 kilometers. And then it will again come back to the apoapse. This is the apoapse, it's the highest point in the orbit. Fire up its engine and the raise the periapse to 20,000 kilometers. That is done. And then it will be in, since the apoapse has not been decreased right now, the apoapse will stay there. So it will again go in for an orbit, come back at the periapse, fire up its engine again, and then decrease the apoapse from this level to this. And then that will be its final science orbit, or you can say the operational orbit. So yeah, that's the case. 1 TB of data will be generated with everything, whatever the instruments they have. They have 3 instruments on board. They have infrared spectrometer, ultraviolet spectrometer, and then obviously the imager, that's the camera. So the infrared spectrometer will observe the atmosphere in infrared spectrum. The ultraviolet will observe the ultraviolet spectrum, and then obviously the imager is will actually be taking the images and also have some functions or signs associated with it. So yep, that's the case. It is successful. Yes, the mission is successful, guys. I haven't updated it or what? Okay, I haven't updated it. Yeah, the mission is successful. And yeah, I mean, all safe cybersecurity. Thanks for the suggestion. Okay, I'll say that from now onwards, no worries. Do we have anything else right now? Doesn't look like though. What should we do now? I'm looking in for some updates for you. Just a sec. And tomorrow, guys, I'll be streaming the Tianwen-1 mission of China. China will also be going to this Mars, and they are certainly going big this time. And I'm so happy for them. And this mission, the UAE's mission, is successful. And now I want the Mars mission of China to be successful. And congratulations. Final word I have to say, I would say congratulations to the UAE, United Space Arab Emirates Space Agencies, and whosoever who was involved in this thing, and they were able to accomplish this thing. Congratulations, UAE, congratulations, UAE space agencies, and whosoever was associated with it. We are really happy as an international member here, and I hope that the data or the science generated from this mission helps the humankind, and I'm so happy about it. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and listening to me. Play a game. Octograbber, did you notice that? Is my voice now good or bad? I got a new microphone. I'll be updating. I mean, is the voice good now? Should be good. Don't know, but yeah. Um, talking about, okay, so let's talk about the aspects which I mean, let's just go onto the journey of what UAE has accomplished till date. So in 2014, they formed the space agency. Being the youngest space agency, they took this enormous task to go to the Mars, and now they have actually accomplished it. So 2014 space agency was formed, and then they devised the plan. 2020 finally it was launched from the Japan by the H2A rocket. And then, okay, Sean Rice, I know what 5x5 means. Wow. Okay, looking good then. uh, okay, so yeah, I was talking about, just a sec. uh, and tomorrow, for tomorrow also I have to do some planning also, but yeah. Okay, so let me just summarize it now. So in July 2020, it was launched from Japan, and it was the mission. The launch was very successful. The everything with the rocket went perfectly fine. The boosters fired, the engine fired, everything fired correctly. It was placed into the correct orbit, and then everyone placed, I mean, the rocket placed the spacecraft into the direct trajectory to the Mars. And then during the cruise period also, the Hope Mars mission was on. I mean, they were collecting the data and were studying the space around. That is so cool. I mean, they didn't wait for studying and you can say um, running the instruments or till they arrived to the Mars. They actually did that before in the cruise state, and they collected the data, studying the cosmic rays and whatnot. So yeah, that was very successful. And then they did the TCM maneuver, which are nothing but the trajectory correction maneuvers, which is used to correct the orbit, or you can say yeah, trajectory of the spacecraft, so as to it enters the gravity sphere of influence of Mars. And then there are some, you can say, uh, certain number of TCM maneuvers which happens time to time to correct the orbit. And then finally, we saw that it actually went near the orbit, or near the planet, in the orbit which it was expected to go. It went there, uh, you faced retrograde, and then fired up the engines. All six engines must have fired up correctly. That's why it is in the orbit right now, and that to a successful orbit. So yep, everything went correctly, perfectly fine. Six engines fired. They slowed the vehicle down, although there was some Mars shadow time of around 6 minutes, which we didn't experience or at all, because obviously um, um, uh, we were getting the, first of all, we were getting the signals late. And the other thing, the stream was like that, which didn't, you can say, let us experience that we are in a dark hour or something like that. So yeah, and one of someone was asking that what is dark hour. Dark hour is that only when the vehicle, or you can say the spacecraft, is unable to connect back to the earth because of some obstruction or something like that. So when the spacecraft arrives to the Mars, it goes into the Mars shadow, which means it goes behind the Mars, and because of that it blocks the signal coming out of the uh, spacecraft back to the earth. So because of that, um just a sec. So because of that the signal is not achievable, and we get something as we what we call uh, the dark hour, in which we don't get the signal. So that was perfectly fine, and that is the sole, you can say, not the sole reason, but one of the reason why you can't control the probe from here from earth. Obviously the main reason is the delay, the 10 to 11 minutes delay of the signal to actually go back to the orbiter to achieve anything. So whatever, if something went wrong, we would have known to 10 to 11 minutes after that. And so obviously we can't control things what are actually going in there. So that's why everything is automated. Same with the must be with the Tianwen-1 and with the Perseverance rover. Although the Perseverance rover landing sequence is also very much automated, everything is done from the separation of the cruise stage, on the balance mass ejection, everything is done automatically by the onboard cameras. Although with the Perseverance rover they will actually be scanning the surface this time and then landing it properly. So yep, there is some pretty complex things involved with the Perseverance rover landing. So yeah, do look out for that. But right now I am very much interested in the China's, the next member of the fleet which is arriving to the Mars is China's Tianwen-1 mission, which has the lander, which has a rover, and which has an orbiter. I mean, wow, they are going in all at once. They'll actually tried it for the first time, but the mission failed because of the Russian segment not firing up. Actually, what was the case is, what the case was, the Russian provided the propulsion system for the Chinese orbiter to the Mars. There was, you can say, there was not a mistake of China but of the Russia, because that the propulsion module didn't fire up, and that's why the mission was not successful. So then the China decided we will do the mission all by ourselves, and then they made it and they have launched it successfully with the Long March 5 rocket, their heaviest rocket, which is not very well known right now for its I mean specific reliability, because it's a new rocket. But then also it placed the launch was successful, and now it is in going into the orbit, and I am really very excited for it. They are going all at once. Although the thing which you will be seeing tomorrow will just be the orbiter, I mean the whole spacecraft insertion, just that. In May, after that in May, they will be landing the rover and the lander, which will be pretty much interesting to see too. And then finally, Feb 18 or 17th, the NASA's Perseverance rover will arrive Mars, and we will see it land in the location that they want. So yes, Reese's be like we says we actually did it, and now we can learn a lot more about Mars that we haven't known yet. And when I saw it in live, I couldn't believe it is the first Arab to ever happen this. I mean, yup, that's the case. I mean, UAE is famous for doing things which nobody has done, or if someone has done done it already, then UAE does it in a way that outpasses everything. I mean, that's the, you can say, motto or the nature of UAE. They have the best, the longest building. They have the best park, also the biggest park. Then they have this palm lands also right on the water. I mean, yeah, UAE is famous for doing things like that. So the president is, I mean the leader, sorry, the UAE's leader has this motto also, that you should be either the one or the only one. You should be the number one or the only one. That's what his, you can say, motto. So that's how he works, and that's how the country works. So yeah, that's the thing. When do we get a real photos? Expected in 3 weeks from now, maybe. So let's wait for that. Someone says Chandrayaan 3 कब launch होगा? Kamlesh, Chandrayaan 3 is expected to launch this year only, 2021. I mean, the Gaganyaan mission is launching, and the Chandrayaan 3 is also on the plans. Let's see what happens. We right now don't have any confirmation, but yeah, that's the case. Have you heard of Inspiration 4? Yup, I have. I have heard of Inspiration 4 mission of the Falcon 9 launched by, I mean, the launch by Falcon 9. On board will be the Crew Dragon, and there will be four or four people, right? First one is billionaire, second one will be the healthcare worker, and there are 2 slots which have not which are actually empty, which people are contesting right now to gain those 2 slots. And then that billionaire will be paying the fees of the ticket for the Crew Dragon, and that person, whosoever is selected, will go to space for free. Wow. China mission tomorrow. Okay, let me just tell you the time when it will be heavy. Just a sec. We do have something. Just a sec, I'll tell you. Okay, so tomorrow around how many hours from now? 12 and then 18 hours from now, the China's mission, I'll start streaming the China's mission, and you can just come and join me. All of you are invited. So yep, just join in, and we will talk about space, we will talk about rocket science, we'll talk about everything. So yeah, Rohan, you can follow me on Twitter. I have the link in the description. Follow me on Twitter. I post their regular updates about space and rocket science. So, yep, do follow me there. And if you have any other questions right now, you can ask me. Otherwise, it is good. And we can end the stream now. I'm right now looking in for some details for. Okay, so these thrusters are enclosed in. Wow. Now this is something which is. Let's talk about space. That's a large subject, I know, but I can talk about it for all time, and just say about it whatever information. I'm a really big space enthusiast, and whatever information I have, I certainly want to convey all that to you, so that you can also benefit, as in what all is going in space. Space is the next big thing right now. I truly believe this thing. First of all, the industrial revolution which has come first was, if I'm not wrong, was from the steam engine. Second one, I don't know, but what we were just can't remember right now and recollect right now. But we know one thing, that the fourth industrial revolution will be happening right now, and it will be happening because of the data. I mean, the fuel for that will be data, and the artificial intelligence, machine learning will be the one driving factor for that. But for the fifth industrial revolution, that is my opinion, completely my opinion, which I believe. But the fifth industrial revolution which will happen, it will happen surely because of space. Space is the next big thing. Private companies are accessing it now. It is becoming, this access to space is becoming low day by day, and there are many things right now going in space. And yeah, so I do believe in that. That's the thing. Java versus Python. See, depends, right? Python is always what we want to have. I mean, it's always easier to code in Python than Java, but companies demand in the other way. So yeah, Fusion will change. I mean, yeah. Actually, the thing is, uh, uh, when since the space access is becoming cheaper and cheaper right now, so therefore there will be space industries coming up soon, space factories coming up soon. I mean, there is already 3D printing going on, and the biggest you can say um boom in the space sector will be when we have like factories or the 3D printers in space which can actually print satellites in space. And if that happens, then actually sending something to space will become very 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 less complex and less uh, difficult. Helium 3 on the moon. Yes, also cybersecurity. Artemis mission is on that. So I think now we can end this stream. Congratulations to UAE for their major accomplishment. I'm so happy for them. They finally did it. And yeah, wow. I just didn't, I just can't believe what I saw. Finally, UAE has arrived onto Mars. Just think of it. There is one probe around the Mars right now, sent by UAE, and it is around Mars. It is around Mars. And tomorrow, China will be attempting to do that. And then in the coming days, NASA's turn will be happening. So, yeah. Helping manned mission on Mars. It surely will, Nordin, because studying the atmosphere is a crucial part of a human mission to Mars. Because obviously, first of all, no, I am so surprised that no mission till now has studied atmosphere in a way that this mission is studying, and we will be getting some enormous amount of data from it, which will surely help us better understand Mars and plan our future journey to the Mars, the human missions. Exactly, all safe. Right now it can't happen, Rohan, but it's a possibility always, because there are so many less satellites in Mars orbit right now. So all there is a possibility, but it's very 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 less. But here on Earth, that possibility is rising again, is rising and rising and rising day by day, because of satellite being increased. And but for to you can say counter that, there are always and always companies which are coming up, and they are, you can say, cleaning up space, which I mean which will be removing dead satellites or debris out of the space, out of the orbit. So yeah, that's the thing. Moon's orbit is also a bit less uh, uh, dense right now, so there also the chances are always there, until and unless there is just a single satellite in that orbit, then they have like zero chances of collision, obviously. But if we have like two satellites, then also there are some chances of collision, no matter what their orbit is. I mean, you can argue that one orbit is higher. I mean, let's assume that one satellite is in geostationary orbit and another is in low orbit. But what if something went wrong and the geostationary satellite decided to deorbit and lower its periapse and then gets collided? So yeah, it's possible. It's possible. So yes, okay then. Congratulations, UAE. All the best for your future endeavors. And now it's the turn for China to show what they can do. And I am really, really very hopeful that, yep, they will be successful. I mean, China, recently in these days, the space operations by China are mind-blowing. So I won't be surprised at all if they are able to successfully insert their probe into the Martian orbit. Okay. Yes, Maximus Berry. The first one was from the ISRO's Mangalyaan, and then they are the second one, and which actually leads me to believe that right now that notion that there is a 50% chance of success is breaking. Now you can go to Mars in just a first try. So yeah. So you can consider subscribing, guys, if you want to have the notification from tomorrow's stream. Consider subscribing on this channel. I do live streams of every rocket launch and space events like these, and also we have other space related videos too. So you can consider subscribing, and if you like the work what I do, you can obviously consider becoming a Patreon. It really helps the channel to stay alive, and super chat is always enabled for the one-time funding. So yeah, I think I can now end the stream. When will you broadcast China's mission tomorrow? 18 hours from now. Just join in here. You will get every answer. Until and unless whatever information I will try to find every information that I can, but whatever information I will be able to find on the internet and from the sources, I'll surely be telling you. China, the problem with the China's mission is that only that they have this PR thingy very, they do some data release or some event release very much late. You just saw Rocket Gyan. Stay safe, stay healthy, and bye-bye.